Alright. Hmm. I couldn't find it. Supposed to be here. Okay. It's not there anymore. Dia apa? Saya cari dulu. I think I lost it somehow. Yeah. Hold this under this. I wanted to share with you some of the information regarding the process of sensor study. That one. Okay. Never mind, I couldn't find it. Apa yang saya nak tunjuk ke tadi adalah berkenaan dengan information on the trainings that are required for enumerators. I lost it. Okay, jadi review census error. To review census to review human error, data error, kita one of the things that we can do is to re-interview, re-interview ataupun kita berjumpa lagi kali lagi dengan responden. Are you still with me?
Yes, Prof.
Alright, susah sikit sebab tak nampak muka. Alright, so re-interview maksudnya kita pergi balik, ya. Kalau kita rasakan ada masalah, ada information yang tak complete, that dalam borang tu, maka lepas kita balik ke pejabat, contohnya, and then the supervisor check ada masalah ataupun ada maklumat yang tak tepat, so we may have to go back to the person. Jadi apa yang saya nak tunjukkan tadi adalah satu borang lah, ya. Borang dalam borang banci itu setiap borang tu ada termasuk nombor responden ataupun nombor household dan contact number telefon dan sebagainya. Itu perlu, ya. Kalau ada nombor telefon lah lagi senang untuk kita berkomunikasi kan. Jadi tujuannya adalah supaya kita senang untuk trace balik siapa yang memberi maklumat tersebut dan bagaimana atau macam mana kita nak verify balik maklumat yang telah diberikan oleh responden tersebut. Okay, you can access this later on your own, ya. Ada if you type census porang banci dan sebagainya secara online, you will come across this, ya. So re-interview ataupun re-enumerate, ya, re-enumerate ataupun membuat proses lagi lah menghitung tadi with special care, with a sample of the census respondents against the original enumeration. In other words, kali ini kita gunakan, instead of gunakan the whole group again to recount, kita gunakan sampel saja, ya, sample of the census, right? In other words, we're doing a survey lah in a way, ya, sample the census to do the re-enumeration tadi, ya, and compare with the original enumeration. Kalau tak ada beza, maknanya okay. Kalau banyak beza, maknanya there is a problem there, ya. So that's what we will do lah, to correct the situation. Gunakan sampel, ya, just to get the information. At least maklumat berkenaan dengan perkara umum, the average, ya, of itu senang untuk kita dapat, ya. In statistically developed countries, the number of children under 10 years should bear some correspondence to the number of births and deaths registered for the past 10 years. Maksud di sini, bagi negara yang mempunyai rekod yang tepat lah, ya, dan juga di negara yang sudah maju, where the death rate, ya, ataupun kadar kematian bagi bayi, infant mortality adalah sangat rendah. Jadi, so actually the number of birth registered would actually should reflect the number of children within that 10 years ataupun number death lah, ya. Tetapi bagi negara yang kurang membangun ataupun less developed countries, where you may have first of all, number one is that dari segi recording tu ada masalah, okay, statistik tak tepat. And then secondly, in terms of the number of death, infants death tu masih tinggi, so you cannot rely on the birth registration untuk more or less estimate the number of children over the past 10 years. Yeah, so very unpredictable, right? So that's why it's not quite practical, yeah, in the less developed countries. Yeah, but it is a practice in the developed countries. Yeah. The other option, of course, this is another way to overcome that, is using index, yeah, using index to determine the scale of error ataupun to determine the extent of the error ataupun kesilapan yang telah berlaku. Is it serious? Is it really very serious dan sebagainya. Jadi indeks ini dikenali sebagai Whipple's index. Right? Tak perlulah nak tunjukkan macam mana nak mengirakannya, but I'll show you the concept of it. Yeah. So particularly when people respond to certain questions with regard to age in particular, ya, kadang-kadang tak ada rekod kan umur ahli keluarga dan sebagainya, kadang-kadang hanya estimate saja, right? Estimate mengatakan okay, mungkin 40 tahun, mungkin 45 tahun, mungkin.
Bro, slide tak nampak.
Oh ya kah?
Ya.
Okay. Kenapa tak cakap awal tadi? Okay. I forgot. I have stopped the sharing just now. Now I may lose everything. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. There you are. Okay. Siapa yang cakap lagi? Sabaria kah?
Ya, Prof.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, this is the one. Sekarang nampak kan?
Nampak.
Okay, Sorry guys, that was a problem. Banyak benda yang tekan sana tekan sini tak jadi pula. Alright, so this is the one that I've been talking about lah. Ya, to review human error of data tadi. Number one, kita boleh re-interview ya the person. Jadi penting saya kata awal tadi dalam borang banci itu perlu ada rekod siapa yang di apa nama tu di interview. Oh, sorry, yang di soal ya dan nombor rumahnya dan sebagainya. Alright, so that it's easier for us to go and visit kalau ada or revisit ataupun re-interview if there was any problem lah. Keduanya adalah kita boleh gunakan sampel ya. In other words, we do another small census if you will ya. Dalam kumpulan tersebut, but we take sample, ya, menggunakan sampel dan mengumpulkan data tersebut dan kita boleh bandingkan dengan the original data, ya, original enumeration, ya, untuk menguji, ya, to more or less determine whether or not there's a big problem ataupun dari segi error, ya. Kalau tak ada banyak tu mungkin okey, boleh diterima. Then I was saying that in developed countries or in statistically developed countries where the record statistic tu memang mantap, ya, memang cukup, they kept all this record statistic and all that, maka mereka can rely on the statistics to more or less estimate the number of children, di dalam negara within the last 10 years, based on birth. Kerana saya kata tadi, the infant mortality rate is quite low, so it's almost similar to the number of birth. Okay, jadi itu yang pertama. Yang keduanya sebabnya adalah di negara yang kurang membangun, less developed countries, such information may not be readily available. Ya, jadi statistically tidak ada, record tak berapa tepat ataupun not properly kept. Dan keduanya adalah where the death rate, infant mortality rate are still quite high in most of these less developed countries. So the number of birth will not reflect the number of children, ya, born ataupun yang masih kekal hidup dalam sepanjang 10 tahun tersebut, ya. So because of that problem tadilah, ya. So kita less developed countries mungkin tak berapa tepat, ya, tak boleh keboleh percayaan tu tak kurang, maksud saya, ya, dari segi numbers tadi. Yang digunakan juga, banyak digunakan adalah what I call just now is the index, ya, known as the Whipple index. Jadi index ini adalah untuk menguji setakat mana ataupun the level of error ataupun scale of error yang telah berlaku, right? Jadi mengikut scale ini, there are certain level which are acceptable dan at certain levels which are not acceptable level. Okay, right. So basically yang banyak berlaku ni adalah contohnya dari segi umur, even in terms of income too, ya, can be a problem as well. Right. But the Whipple's index ataupun Whipple's index ini merupakan index of concentration. Index of concentration as an indicator of degree of edge heaping. Apa maksud edge heaping? Edge heaping di sini bermaksud where the tendency is that bilangan penduduk tends to congregate ataupun concentrate around certain age group. Itu yang dimasukkan age heaping, ya. Okay, so sebabnya berlaku adalah due to misreporting and also the lack of knowledge about individual household members. Ya, contohnya dari segi umur, dari segi pendapatan dan sebagainya. But we're talking about age ya. So maklumlah kadang-kadang anak ramai sangat contohnya. Tak ingat pula berapa umur anak ataupun berapa umur isteri atau isteri for that matter. Jadi the tendency is that for people to hip ya, mengatakan umur instead of 22, 23 dia kata lebih kurang 20 tahun. Ataupun instead of umur 29, 31, 32 lebih kurang 30 tahun. So if you that is recorded, jadi masalahnya adalah the tendency for umur tu concentrate around certain group ataupun age group. Okay. So age hips at figure end with 0 or 5. Maksudnya mau 5 tahun, 10 tahun, 15 tahun, 20 tahun instead of let's say 12 ke 13 kan. Usually yang ujung 5 tu ataupun kosong lah. Right? So saya kata tadi contoh tadi saya bagi adalah hipping around 0 tadilah. Ya, 10 tahun, 20 tahun, 30 tahun dan sebagainya. Hold on sekejap lah. Sorry, ada interruption sikit. Alright, so Whipple's index, yeah. So due to misreporting and lack of knowledge about individual household members, yeah, hipping around usually around 0, that 10 kah, 20, 30, 40 sebagainya, ya, ataupun around that 5, ya, 5, 15, 25, 35, 45 dan sebagainya. Okay, so ini contoh dia, ya. Ini the actual age hipping in Bangladesh. Age hipping in Bangladesh. Alright, why is it so obvious? Kalau kita lihat di sini, alright, so this is, let's say this is 20 kan. So this is probably, let's say around here is 10 lah. So hips around 10, more or less around 20, ataupun 25, suddenly that group banyak, and then this is probably around 30, and then probably about 35, yeah, maybe this is the problem. Yang ini, yang banyak-banyak ni, this is the hipping. Kerana apa? Kerana estimation more than the actual, right? Lebih kurang, something like that, ya, lebih kurang 45 tahun, lebih kurang 40 tahun. And so on and so forth. Ya. Jadi itu yang menjadikan maklumat tersebut 10. So you can't be, if you look at this, there is no reason why this certain group of people all of a sudden lebih 300, just one that age group kan. So this is where it should be. Kalau ikut sebenarnya it should be like a normal curve distribution. Itu baru betul lah distributionnya. If there is no S shaping. Okay, so itu yang berkaitan dengan S shaping tadi. Alright, so what level is acceptable? Jadi mengikut United Nations, I'm checking. Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Thank you. Sebab tadi ada gangguan sikit. There was call from outside yang penting. Okay, so United Nations recommends a standard for measuring the S shaping seperti berikut ya, as follows. Right. Jadi kalau Whipple's index itu is less than, ya, ini simbol less. Whipple's index nilai dia kurang daripada 105, 105. Just hold on, another call ya. Sekejap. Sorry, another interruption. Okay, maksudnya Whipple's index kalau nilainya kurang daripada 105, that is considered dari segi quality data tadi very accurate, right? Because this indicate there is deviation from perfect less than 5% error sebenarnya ya. Remember your statistics ya. Alpha 0.05 something like that lah. So kalau kurang daripada itu maksudnya it's acceptable. Ya, very accurate. Ya, tak perlu buat apa-apa pun. Ya, in other words, the data is very accurate. Ya. While as kalau it range from 105 to 110, that is considered as relatively accurate. Taklah tepat sangat, tapi dikira tepat jugalah ya. Where the amount of error adalah 5 hingga 10%, ya, 5 hingga 10%. And then if it is between Whipple's index 110, 125, that is considered okay. Pun quite high jugalah, ya, quite high juga dia punya deviation from perfect, yeah, not quite perfect. But anything less than or more than 25, yeah, percent is considered bad, yeah, or very bad. Jadi itu ya cara untuk menentukan ya sama ada data kita accurate ataupun tidak. Right? Boleh dipercayai ataupun tidak, maksud saya ya. So, itu cara untuk untuk menentukan kepercayaan data ataupun maklumat tadi. Alright, so we're done with census. Jadi the second source of demographic data ataupun population data is from registration of vital events. Registration ataupun pendaftaran event penting lah, vital events. Apa yang maksudkan vital events di sini adalah termasuk birth, kelahiran, kematian, dan juga kadang-kadang migration lah, ya. Alright, so if a nation only practices, jadi masalahnya kalau negara hanya bergantung kepada census saja, maka banyak maklumatnya akan hilang ataupun tidak tepat, ya. So because census is done only 10 years, so that will affect the quality of information as far as the population is concerned. Okay, because it only supplies information during the census moment, so anything else will not be included ataupun tidak diperolehi. So no information about the events that are changing within the 10-year period between the census, ya. Jadi tidak dapat diperolehi. Right? So luckily we have what we call the registration of events, and kita ada di negara kita ada certain department who deals with that lah, right? So register of household, for example, started by the Han Dynasty in China since the 2 BC ago, ya, during the 2 BC ataupun second BC. Okay? In Europe pula, churches and recorded, for example, baptisms that will because baptism is a process, for Christian, by the way. So baby is born after maybe a certain age, they will be baptized. Ya, jadi itu merupakan satu rekod juga lah tentang bilangan anak, ya, in a way, indirectly. Marriage, ya, also death, ya, were recorded by churches, and these were later adopted by Western nationalists with more elaborate information. That started quite a long time ago. So what are listed as vital events? These are according to the, or rather following the United Nations Handbook of Vital Statistics Methods. Vital events such as live birth, ya, live birth ataupun kelahiran, ya, kematian, death, atau juga fatal death ataupun fetus, ya, ataupun bayi yang mati sebelum dapat dilahirkan, ya. And then marriages also is considered as a vital event. Divorce, adoption, migration. Okay, these are vital events, ya. So vital statistics, statistic derived from compiling the vital event. Jadi kalau kita nak tahu kadar kematian, kadar kelahiran, kadar kematian, number of marriages, rate of divorce, adoption, rate of migration, so on, kita boleh dapat, ya, kita boleh buat, ya, mendapatkan statistik tersebut dengan membuat satu pengiraan, ya, berdasarkan rekod-rekod yang ada. Right. Okay. In Malaysia, we have National Registration Department ataupun Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara, which is responsible for the registration of events. Alright. So registration of birth, selain daripada pergi kepada jabatan tersebut, registration of birth as well as death can be done at registration offices. Okay, dekat office registration lah. Tapi selain daripada itu juga boleh dibuat di hospital. There is a special counter at a hospital di mana kita boleh merekodkan, ya, kelahiran dan kematian lah. At the same time, police stations also used to record death as well. Death in particular, bukan birth, or by the penghulu ataupun village head. Nah, ini di kawasan-kawasan pedalaman mungkin ada masalah untuk melaporkan, ya, kelahiran ataupun kematian immediately, ya. Jadi mungkin mengambil masa untuk disampaikan kepada National Registration Department. So penghulu dan juga ketua kampung ataupun tuai rumah dan sebagainya boleh memainkan peranan, ya. Even apa nama ni guru besar ya di sekolah-sekolah pedalaman. They also perform this function long time ago lah. Sekarang saya tak tahu lagi, tak tahu ya. Long time ago, even myself when I was born, my parent reported ataupun melaporkan kelahiran kepada guru besar, and then guru besar later on menyampaikannya kepada district office, and then from there it goes to Kuching and so on. So it took me particularly and many other people during my time several years for us to to trace and be able to get our apa nama ni birth certificate. I didn't have my birth certificate not until I was in Form 6. Believe it or not, that's when I got it. Luckily, the department managed to trace. Bukan macam sekarang pakai komputer senang, right? Tapi dulu everything was recorded dalam form dan sebagainya, ya. So you have to dig the files on to find. Dan luckily boleh juga lah, ya. So sekarang ini immediate, ya. Contohnya kalau kelahiran, the moment you report, the thing will be processed in the National Registration Department, and next month you can get the certificate, yeah, from the office or within 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah. It's cepat, ya. Even deaf tuh sama juga, ya. Right. So this is the one. Let me share you this one, huh? Kejap. Oke, nanti saya share sama kamu, ya. Sekejap ni. Okay, this is the national registration. Okay, jadi apa perkhidmatan mereka? Just last, what day is this? Just last month, I went to the National Registration Department with my daughter just to kenapa nak replace dia punya IC. We overlook. Was supposed to be changed when she was 18, like last year or something. Yeah, but now ada lambat sikit lah, setahun lewat. So anyway, perkhidmatan mereka adalah merekodkan kelahiran, contohnya lah. So boleh nampak kan ni?
Boleh, sir.
Ya, okey. Jadi ada Semenanjung, ada Sabah, Sarawak. Kadang-kadang ada beza sedikit sajalah, ya, dari segi proses. Kalau di Semenanjung contohnya, you click on that. Jadi let's say pendaftaran kelahiran biasa. Okey. Ini maksudnya the moment baby is born terus dilaporkan. Okey. Jadi and then ini all this penerangan permohonan, right? Setiap kelahiran yang berlaku di Malaysia hendaklah didata dalam tempoh 60 hari, ya, 60 hari dari tarikh kelahiran anak-anak tersebut. Okay, so it must be registered within 60 days. Ya, dan syarat pemohonnya, ya, syarat permohonan pendaftaran kelahiran boleh dibuat oleh individu seperti berikut, ya, ibu bapa, ya, kanak-kanak itu, atau penjaga kanak-kanak tersebut, atau individu yang mengetahui atau menyaksikan tentang kelahiran kanak-kanak tersebut, ataupun ibu bapa kanak-kanak bagi pendaftaran kelahiran anak tak sah taraf, something like that. Right? So yeah. So dari segi prosedurnya, right, pemaklum kelahiran dihendaki hadir ke JPN yang berhampiran dan membawa dokumen-dokumen yang diperlukan. So what are the documents? Ini kamu perlu tahu nantilah. Ya, who knows 5-10 years from now, right? Dokumen yang perlu asal dan juga salinan borang pendaftaran kelahiran. Right? How does it look like? It's not available. Sorry. Oops. My God. Okay, tak apa. Jadi salah tekan tadi. Hilang pula. Okay, so I missed that thing. Never mind. Never mind. I go back to the lecture. Jadi itu, if you want to know more, boleh klik lah on Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara. So the process tu untuk kematian pun sama jugalah, tapi mungkin dari segi bedanya dari segi time frame dan sebagainya. Okay. Okay, so I click the wrong button tadi. Sebenarnya nak tunjukkan juga untuk kematian pun prosesnya sama, ya. But I can't remember how many days, ya. Selepas kematian perlu dilaporkan. But I was involved. Saya pernah sendiri pernah melakukannya, pernah melaporkan kepada pihak berkenaan. Alright, so itu Jabatan Pendaftaran Negara yang responsible for the registration of events, ya. Okay, nampak ini ya? Takut saya hilang pula. Can you see the slide now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Some countries, however, do not trust data obtained through registration. Masalah pula compared to census. Jadi kenapa tak percaya pada registration ni dibandingkan dengan census? Jadi sebabnya apa agaknya? Why do you think? Because sometimes they don't have that registration. Ada register tak berapa boleh percaya, right? So that's part of the reasons. Either they do not have the system or the lacking, yeah, and also costly to maintain, yeah, all those registration of event. All right. So less developed countries, they substitute the registration of event with sample survey. Jadi mereka tidak menggunakan registration of event, tapi mereka menggunakan sample survey, ya. Maksudnya dia bukan melakukan census, tetapi dia menggunakan they conduct a survey yang melibatkan sampel, right? A small sample of the population, and then use the data to represent the nation more or less. Okay. Jadi kalau there's always a little bit of problem lah dengan survey ni, sebab kadang-kadang survey ni will not be representative enough, ya. Dari segi apa nama sampel yang diambil tu mungkin tak mewakili populasi sebenar. Right? So that is a problem. Okay. So it has disadvantages. Ya, sampel survey ini mempunyai disadvantages because there is always chance of making sampling error. Ya, error ataupun ralat disebabkan oleh proses-proses membuat sampling tadi. Mungkin sampling itu agak bias ataupun tak betul, tak representatif dan sebagainya. Yang keduanya, kadang-kadang the location of the sample does not fall into the the sample tadi, certain locations tidak diwakili ataupun tidak diambil sampel. So that particular location will not have any information about themselves there lah. Right? So that's the danger. Jadi missing out, ya. Kalau missing out, masalahnya nanti contohnya certain one group of people, for example, certain ethnic group totally miss, not included in example. Jadi maklumat mereka tu tidak ada. So when it come to policy and all that, untuk pembangunan, untuk bantuan dan sebagainya, they will be missed. Yeah, so that's the danger. of using sample survey tadi. Okay. So the best, of course, is to combine. Yeah, you can combine the census and registration of events. That will be very, very good and complete. Yeah. Okay. So recording vital events provide numbers of births and deaths according to other characteristic. For example, berapa umur ketika kematian berlaku, what is the gender, yeah, and also in terms of birth, anak lelaki ke perempuan ke, yeah, itu ada record. And also sometimes there is a need to know how many people are at risk, yeah, at risk, yang mempunyai risiko, for example, right? Contohnya risiko kematian, peringkat umur berapa sebagai contoh, ya, ataupun adakah lelaki atau perempuan yang berisiko tinggi sebagainya. So you combine both, yaitu census and registration of event, that will be more meaningful, yeah, very, very helpful in providing meaningful information, okay, yang boleh digunakan untuk mengambil tindakan tertentu, ya, contohnya untuk menyelesaikan masalah, untuk provide the services, ya, to the people or to the community involved. Okay, and you can identify high birth rate or low birth rate daripada registration of event tadi, ya. Tapi dengan census sebenarnya susah sikit, ya. But if the census menunjukkan contohnya peningkatan penduduk sebagai contoh, maka kita boleh relate to the event yang telah ataupun registration of event tadi, contohnya dari segi sama ada ianya berkaitan dengan peningkatan ataupun kekal tingginya kadar kelahiran ataupun disebabkan oleh penurunan kadar kematian sebagai contoh, right? So kita boleh relate, ya. And also dengan adanya registration of events so on, kita boleh membuat satu estimate, ya, satu anggaran, ya, tentang populasi di antara census, maksudnya in between the 10 years lah, right? So we can make estimate of the population based on the registration of event or the birth rate and so on, ya. Okay, so itu cara untuk apa namanya, untuk menggunakan, ya, census ataupun events registration. Okay, sample surveys ataupun sample survey ada dinyatakan awal tadi berkenaan dengan yang dilakukan, kadang-kadang digunakan untuk to replace census, ya, where the cost of conducting census is very high. Okay, jadi United Nations 1971, for example, reported that 1/3 of world population reside in countries where birth statistics are not registered. Yeah, birth statistics are not registered, but gathered by sample survey. Jadi tidak ada merekod, ya, kelahiran ataupun kematian. Ya. Jadi mereka, because they don't have the record, so what they do is these countries gunakan sample survey, right? Sample survey setelah saya terangkan tadi lah prosesnya. So they do this using sample survey. They take a sample of the population and then analyze the data. And hopefully sampel tersebut adalah sampel yang representative of the population, so that it will more or less mencerminkan ataupun represent the population population parameter. Okay, statistik yang diperolehi daripada sampel itu akan menunjukkan parameter population berkenaan dengan birth, contohnya death dan sebagainya. Okay, so this is strong in some parts of Asia and also Africa, banyak gunakan. But as I said, there are also disadvantages dan juga advantages-nya. The disadvantages atau disadvantage-nya tadi adalah kalau ada sampling error, proses mengambil sampel tu tak betul, contohnya bias dan sebagainya. So that would menyebabkan maklumat itu kurang tepat lah. The advantages of using sample survey is it is cheaper, cheaper, murah, untuk dilaksanakan dibandingkan dengan population census. Alright, so so that's some of the advantages. Senang lakukan dan then it can also using that sample survey boleh mendapatkan maklumat berkenaan dengan populasi, dengan karakteristik population, termasuk bilangan kelahiran, kematian dan sebagainya. Satu lagi kegunaan sample survey is you can conduct it or you can do it as a post enumeration survey. Post enumeration survey ini adalah survei yang dilakukan selepas census. Jadi tujuannya adalah to more or less to enrich the census tadi, untuk mendapat maklumat yang lebih mendalam ataupun lebih tepat, berkenaan dengan sesuatu perkara, dengan sesuatu statistik, for example. Right, so you can do a post enumeration survey. So you get richer information, yang di atas ataupun ke atas maklumat yang diperoleh melalui sensus tadi. Okay. Alright, I'm coming towards the end. Alright, so these are examples, of items included in the census, ini perbandingan di antara 3 buah negara yang berada di North American continent, yaitu US, Canada dan Mexico. Right? Just a simple comparison lah. Jadi ini this come from textbook, textbook saya yang saya gunakan for this course, Okay. Jadi the one in blue adalah merupakan perkara ataupun population characteristics which are asked for every household, yang disoal ataupun diperlukan daripada setiap household ataupun isi rumah, Dan yang merah ataupun single X itu adalah which are asked in a sample survey. Jadi right, so you see the differences ataupun similarities and differences between the group. Jadi contohnya age, sex, relationship to household in terms of family structure, all of those are required, from all household. And then in terms of race, US dia memang pentingkan itu, tetapi di Kanada tidak berapa. I mean, they were concerned, but they only do it dengan menggunakan sampel sahaja, They don't do it on a census basis. Dan di Mexico, they don't even do that at all. Tak perlu, Tapi US, you know why is important, Because US itu merupakan negara yang mempunyai berbilang kaum different origins of the world, from different parts of the world and so on. So they have the record, Contohnya from Asia, from Africa, from Europe, European origin dan sebagainya. Right? And then also, Hispanic origin. Ini penting saja di US. US nak tahu berapa orang, berapa persen dari population of Hispanic origin. Hispanic origin. Dan marital status penting di Canada, Mexico included in the household census, tapi tidak berapa dititik beratkan di US lah, so they do that. I mean, they it's still important, but they only do that as a survey, ini sebagai contoh. So on, fertility, for example, it's very important ataupun di soal untuk setiap household, iaitu maksudnya census lah. And then income juga sangat penting. Kita di Malaysia pun sama, we have this, we ask this question in the census. Okay, in income, kita di Malaysia masuk in terms of income. So, tapi di US, Canada, mereka hanya mendapatkan maklumat tersebut dengan menggunakan sampel survey, and sources of income, sampel survey, dan Mexico juga, health and so on, Jadi ini what they have here is more than what United Nations list lah, But these are contoh-contoh maklumat yang termasuk ataupun yang dikumpul dalam sesuatu census, borang census. Unpaid household activities, cuma tidak digunakan census tetapi dilakukan secara sampel survey. Labor force status, different ways, Canada, US dia gunakan sampel, dan then di Mexico mereka menggunakan census untuk mendapatkan maklumat tersebut. So occupation, industry, and so on, ada yang menggunakan census seperti Mexico, ada yang menggunakan sampel survey. Right. So sampel survey on grandparents, benda ni kan, this has to do with social characteristic lah, grandparents as caregivers, place of work, journey to berapa jauh daripada tempat kerja, because these are important for policy making, dari segi penempatan pekerjaan dan juga where there is accessibility, time, to go to work and so on, journey to work, vehicles available or not, ancestry, macam-macam, birthplace, right? US digunakan survey, di Mexico menggunakan census, birthplace of parents, US dia tak kisah langsung pun, they're not quite concerned, they don't even take that information. And the citizenship, ada menggunakan survey. Religion, educational attainment, language spoken, and so on, US tak ada lah. I mean, all of them are speaking English anyway. Walaupun at home they may be speaking, Spanish ke apa, but secara umumnya everybody speak English. They're not concerned about language spoken at work. So it's all English. Tapi di Canada lain, sebab dia ada they have French. French is the official language of Canada, and then English juga digunakan at the place of work asal. Sama juga tu lah, religion, educational attainment, kita di sini educational attainment kita ada dalam census, Alright. So banyak lagi, in terms of mobility of resident 1 year ago, resident 5 years ago, and so on. This is looking at the international migration and also internal migration issues as well. Even talking about tenure, renting ataupun tidak, ya, types of housing, material used for world, ini sangat penting di Mexico. I don't know why, ya. Kayu ke, apa nama ni, semen ke dan sebagainya. Macam-macam lagi, repairs need and structure. So what I'm saying is, they can include many other things ataupun items berdasarkan kepada keperluan sesebuah negara. How important are those? Yeah, for decision making, for policy making dan sebagainya. Okay, so termasuk TV, heating system, macam-macam lagi, ya. Okay, so those are example of items which are included either in the census or diperolehi melalui sample survey. All right. Now the third, probably the fourth, I forgot in terms of numbering this, but kita ada census, kita ada registration of events, and then we have sample survey. Tapi saya tak letakkan sample survey itu sebagai I could have put that as number 3, ya, ataupun number 4, doesn't matter lah. Tapi it is a form of all source of demographic data ataupun population data. Alright. The next one is administrative data sebagai sumber maklumat tentang populasi. Right. So this one is not meant to provide data for demographic analysis. Unfortunately, it's not meant for demographic analysis. Tetapi ianya mempunyai akan memberi satu maklumat juga dah yang penting kepada negara as well, ya. It is a good source to provide important information. Contohnya di Immigration Department, right? We'll keep records of people coming into the country and also going out of the country, right? So every time you take a flight, yeah, so you have to go through the Immigration Department, a counter and all that for them to record where you're going and also when you're coming in and so on. Right? Other than that, record in terms of student ataupun school records, because that is important as far as planning is concerned. Right? It provides data in terms of the number of students and number of schools, right? So that if the number of students exceeded the capacity of school, then it will indicate the need to have to increase or to have another school nearby ataupun dipindahkan student to another school and so on. Yeah. Other things which are now also recorded, ya, ada terdapat di district office dan sebagainya. The various forms of welfare, ya, welfare. Contohnya e-kasih di Malaysia, ya. So siapa yang register, siapa yang boleh register dalam e-kasih sebagainya. So this group of people are entitled for certain benefits, ya, sebagai contoh. If you're not registered, then it's difficult, yeah, to get assistance from the government, for example, yeah. Right, and then utility data connection, ya, ataupun disconnection, water, electricity, cable TV, ataupun kalau kita di sini, we talking about apa nama cable TV kita yang ada? Unify adalah. What's another one? Yang banyak orang pakai sekarang ni.
U-Mobile.
U-Mobile.
Analog.
Yang ada di apa nama? Yang ada di rumah tu apa? Kamu pakai? TV apa? Ada kan? What's the biggest provider di Malaysia?
Yang biasa atau kok, Prof?
Yang biasa, yang kita bayar bulan-bulan.
Astro.
My TV.
Yeah, Astro, the biggest provider. Yeah, for example, remember the advertisement, semua ada kata orang tua tu kan. So how many people have access to that? Yeah. So this is important ya, utility data ni. Berapa orang, berapa household yang dapat electricity supply, 24-hour electricity, ya, clean water supply ataupun treated water supply dan sebagainya. Jadi ini penting ya untuk tujuan perancangan ya, perancangan pembangunan lah at least ya. Okay, and also this other than that, as far as demography is concerned, of course, it helps to determine the population trends ya, trend dalam populasi. Sama ada population is moving upward in terms of social mobility, yeah, better livelihood, better standard of living dan sebagainya. And also record on the number of low cost ataupun low cost housing ataupun rental housing application, right? Ada record, ada administrative data. Dan macam-macam lagi lah ya, which the respective agency ataupun department do keep record of. Ya, okay. Kalau pihak polis dia record apa? Pihak polis mungkin record jenayah ataupun well, of course in the past they played a different role ya, tapi sekarang ni they record in terms of bilangan jenayah, jenis dan jenayah lakukan dan sebagainya. Ya, jadi rekod-rekod tersebut adalah juga penting lah. Ya. Okay, now this is example from overseas lah. Some of the administrative records, ya, a list of citizenship, telephone directory. Itu walaupun kita ingat ini tak penting, sebenarnya telephone directory itu is a form of a record of the population as well. Voters list, ini penting bagi siapa? Bagi politician ya. So they want to know how many people, how many voters are in their area, and also berapa pengundi yang berumur lebih 60 tahun, middle age ataupun yang berumur 18 tahun ke 20 tahun. Sekarang ni isunya sekarang ni adalah sama ada yang telah mencapai 18 tahun boleh mengundi atau tidak. So that is interesting ya. Ada kegunaan tersendiri ya. Taxpayers list of electricity consumers, list of school student, saya katakan tadi lah. So these are examples of administrative records. All right. And then number 4 ke number 5, don't forget about that numbering. Is the traditional and non-governmental sources. Jadi selain daripada yang telah kita bincangkan itu, juga mungkin terdapat juga lah ya sumber-sumber lain. Ya. I mean, I'm not just talking about in our country, but in other parts of the world, yeah, particularly in the less developed countries. So this include information which are kept by religious bodies, for example, the church, the mosque, dan sebagainya, ya, pihak agama, and also non-religious social organizations. They do keep important information. Ya, contohnya tadi kalau gereja, they do keep records of marriages particularly, and also the number of children who are baptized. Ya, jadi kalau nak tahu berapa orang Christian yang ada di sesuatu kawasan sebagai contoh, then we know lah from the record daripada church tersebut. The same thing with the mosque also. Ya. So this data can, so this can be data collected by also, or including, sorry, research data collected by research institutes. Jadi this is the non apa namanya, maybe not a government institute, not a government institutions, but they collect data, for example. Okay. So routinely collect and keep track information about their members and also clients as well. For example, businesses, for example, business organization, for example. Yeah, they do keep record, yeah, collect and keep track of information about their clients, so their members, yeah, if it is a social organization, for example, right? So those are things that they keep there, and so they might keep also unique information which are not covered by census ataupun sample survey, right? But they cover small and local population, ya. Jadi khas untuk ataupun limited to the community, for example, ataupun small area, ya, right? And so it is good for this information ini ataupun maklumat ini berkenaan dengan bilangan manusia, what apa nama karakteristik ataupun affiliationnya, ya, can be used for different purposes, ya. It can be for public policy, it can be for urban planning, ataupun untuk plan for social service delivery dan sebagainya. Yeah, let me answer the phone. Yeah. Oke, pukul berapa sekarang? Belum pukul 12. Anyway, so jadi sumber ini is more for apa nama untuk tujuan tertentu lah, ya. Contohnya tadi untuk public policy planning purposes, ya, or social services and so on, ya. Jadi penting juga, ya. So I think basically that's what I wanted to share with you. But before that, if you can just wait for maybe 5 minutes, ya, untuk saya cari yang saya nak tunjukkan awal tadi. Sekejap, ya. Sekejap, ya. Okay.
Prof, tak ada screen.
No, I'm trying to find. Nanti saya akan tunjukkan.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you. Let me kejap.
Dek, film itu bagus. Data sendiri.
That I couldn't find it. I know it's there, but couldn't get it back. What I was trying to show you is the cost of conducting the current census in Malaysia. Yeah, the total cost from the slide that I saw just now, yang saya tak dapat nak cari balik, adalah 170 plus million, right? Cost for conducting the census for Malaysia sekali jalan, right? So that's quite expensive lah. So bagi negara yang kurang mampu, contohnya negara-negara yang kurang kemampuan, poor countries, they're just not able to do it. Yeah, even if it is done once in 10 years, it's quite expensive. Itu yang saya maksudkan tadi. Okay. Alright, so maklumat-maklumat lain nanti kalau saya dapat nanti I'll share with you ya, some of those information. So the number of officers involved, the number of enumerators involved, the training and so on, ya, all those dalam briefing Jabatan Statistik ya, Malaysia. There's so much involved, so much preparation. Ya, jadi itu sebabnya tak dapat dilakukan setiap tahun ataupun setiap 5 tahun, because it's very expensive. Okay. Any questions or any comments? We have reached the end of our class actually. Yeah. Any comments?
No.
Tak ada. Betul ke tak ada ni? Okay, kalau tak ada tak apa. I mean, the important thing is you understand the process. Okay, Tapi kalau ada masalah, you can even ask me on our, our group lah, WhatsApp group, if there is any issue ataupun problem. Okay? Alright, kelas. Jadi itu saja untuk hari ini. Kalau tak ada apa-apa lagi lah. Kita pun dah dekat 3 jam. I think that's the longest that we have taken so far in terms of our class. Alright, so that's all, guys. See you again in a week's time. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you,
Alright.
Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Prof.
Prof.
All right.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, and stay safe ya. Stay healthy, stay safe. Lebih-lebih lagi yang berada di Sarawak ni, kes-kesnya makin hari makin meningkat. So we are worried. So take care ya. Stay vigilant as well. Thank you. I'll see you again next week. Yeah. So saya tutup ni ya. So I close, then we end our session. Thank you very much all. Yeah.